In 1990, during a semi-final match with West Germany, footballer Paul Gascoigne was given a second yellow card for a reckless tackle. Realising this meant he would miss the final if England got there, the image of him wiping away tears there on the pitch was beamed all the way around the world. England didn't get to the finals, but from that point on, Paul Gascoigne, also known as Gazza, found his profile raised to that of a national icon. He remained in the spotlight throughout the 1990s, going to play for Rangers in '95, but it was around this time that he started getting better known for wild partying and mad behind-the-scenes antics. And at the same time as this, in the music world, an explosive new band from Manchester, Oasis, were also rapidly on the rise and fast becoming the most important band in the country. Both would have been well aware of each other. Amongst the legendary stories of Gazza in the 90s is the time he showed up to Rangers practice with 2 freshly caught trout, which he then hid in Gordon Jury's car, having nicked his keys out of the dressing room, one hidden under the spare wheel and another hidden in an almost invisible compartment in the back. It was apparently days before he found them. There's the time he hijacked a London bus in 1997 and drove it around Marble Arch. There's the time he let a live ostrich loose on the pitch during training, and the time he got into the cockpit of the plane he was in, grabbed the controls, and pushed it into a nosedive. On his first day training at Burnley, Gazza offered the whole team a cup of tea, into which he had secretly added laxative powder. At Everton, when David Ginola joined the team for the first time, Gazza came out to train alongside him like this, mimicking and taking the piss out of the French footballer's hair. One time out on the lash with Chris Evans in Scotland, they bought a second-hand car, painted it black, and then drove it straight into Loch Lomond. Another time, while fishing with teammates on Loch Lomond, for no clear reason, Gazza grabbed a swan out of the bushes and put it unwilling into the back of a Range Rover, where it did £20,000 worth of damage. And it was at Loch Lomond where Paul Gascoigne also met up with a fellow Hellraiser of the 90s, Liam Gallagher. Oasis were, at this time, the biggest band in the UK by a mile. What's the Story, Morning Glory had become a modern-day classic, the Gallagher brothers were on the front of every newspaper, and they had decided to crown their Morning Glory world tour with a series of gigs, 2 at Loch Lomond in Scotland and 2 at Nebworth in England. But throughout this tour in 1995 and 1996, Liam Gallagher had been struggling with issues with his voice. He famously didn't warm up and drank and smoked constantly before gigs. In November 95, he had to pull out of 3 gigs in England, and then again in August 1996, when the band were due to play MTV Unplugged. And that same month, August 1996, was the same month as the Loch Lomond shows. Conscious of the growing issues Liam was having with his vocal cords, it seems the management decided it would be better that he stayed out of Glasgow and stayed somewhere where he was a little less likely to drink.
Because I met him, I'd lost my voice and we were doing Loch Lomond and he'd signed for Rangers. And anyway, someone goes, look, you can't be staying in Glasgow and that because you've got to go and chill out and get your voice back for these big gigs. So then I went, right, okay, let's go up to this nice hotel up in the countryside. Getting out of the car, me and the security guard, 9 o'clock, I think I'm going to get in, have a drink, like honey and lemon and all that boring stuff that goes with the job. And I'll get my head down and I'll be up and I'll be all right and all that. So as I'm getting out of the car, I'm greeted by Jimmy Five Bellies.
Jimmy Five Bellies was a nickname of one of Paul Gascoigne's fellow Geordie Hellraisers in that era.
I was going, fuck's sake, and he's going, I heard you were here, man. I was going, yeah. Actually, I couldn't even speak. My voice had actually properly gone. I was going, fuck. Tell him not to fuck it. And he's going, Gazza's waiting for you in the fucking bar. I was going, but I had to walk past the bar to get in the lift to the fucking room, and he's knocking back these tequila shots. Like I've never seen anyone like proper just going for it. You having a fucking drink then, you man? I was like, fuck it, go on then. Anyway, get into a session with him, don't I? But I was fine actually, man. The booze sort of woke my voice up and that, and the gig was all right, I think. But yeah, I was telling him, I was going, look, I shouldn't be doing this, mate. I've got fucking, come on, you're meant to be fucking rock star, aren't you?
And so, as far as I've been able to establish, that was the first time Paul Gascoigne and Liam Gallagher properly crossed paths. Loch Lomond, August 1996. It's quite possible Gazza was in attendance at the gig as well, I'm not sure. But it does seem that Loch Lomond marks the point at which a quiet, behind-the-scenes friendship began to blossom between Gazza and the Gallaghers. And apparently it wasn't just Liam, but also Noel, as Gazza mentions just as a quick aside in this ridiculous story from the 90s. The next evening we went out in Chris Evans' chauffeur-driven car. Chris was in shorts and slippers and a t-shirt, and I was wearing a dressing gown and nothing else. We were driving around, drinking in the back seat and shouting at passers-by through the windows. As we went through Hampstead, I recognised the pop star Noel Gallagher's house. I told Chris I'd met him somewhere and had once been to his place for a few drinks. "If you know him so well," said Chris, "go and knock on his front door and ask him to come out to play." I was hardly out of the car before it drove off at speed. Chris had left me on my own to knock on Noel Gallagher's front door in my dressing gown. I banged and banged, but nobody answered. I was starting to get cold, and Chris had totally disappeared. Someone came out of a house 2 doors along, and I stopped him and asked if I could come into his house for a bit to warm up. "Certainly not," he said. "I'm Paul Gascoigne," I explained. "You know, Gazza." "Never heard of him," said the bloke. In a recent video, I told the story of the falling out between Noel Gallagher and Chris Evans, so it's quite possible that things had already turned sour at this time, which might explain why Chris Evans sped off, leaving Paul Gascoigne on his own in the middle of London with no wallet, wearing nothing but a dressing gown. We know that the friendship with Liam continued because here they are all together in 1999, at the film premiere for Mickey Blue Eyes in London. According to the NME, Gazza was also rumoured to be in attendance at an Oasis gig at Watford in 2002 with half the Everton squad. But the most notorious encounter between Paul Gascoigne and Liam Gallagher occurred in 2006. By this time, Gazza was struggling with, amongst various other things, alcoholism and paranoia. And it would come out later that this wasn't all unfounded paranoia, because scumbag British journalists from the News of the World were repeatedly hacking his phone. Gazza, however, believed friends and family were constantly betraying him week after week, and he was therefore mentally not in a good place, which, of course, caused him to spiral and drink even more. And it was in this era that this man, James Brown, the British journalist who founded Loaded magazine, took Liam Gallagher to a restaurant after an interview. He says, "Our lives had moved on a bit, and the wild men of rock and roll and men's mags had both become dads. Liam was most excited to hear about me taking my son to Diggerland, a theme park in Rochester. After our interview, I took him over to the Groucho Club to meet Gazza. This is Groucho's, a world-famous private members club in the West End. It seems that when they got there, Gazza wasn't there yet, however. So, presumably arranged by James Brown, they sat down to eat while they waited for Gazza to arrive in a taxi.
Someone said Liam Gallagher's in the restaurant, posh as fucking. I went, all right, so I got out of the taxi and I went up and he went, oh, you all right, Gazza, sit down. And he had a big fillet steak in front of him and I had a couple of drinks and that. And he went, do you want a steak? I went, no, I'm not hungry. He went, all right, I'm just 2 seconds, I'm going to the toilet. He went to the toilet and I fucking ate his steak. And he'd come back and he went, where's my fucking steak? And I rubbed my stomach and I went, cheers.
Gazza was, apparently, at the time of rolling up to Groucho's, absolutely ratted and already in a slightly crazy state of mind. Having already helped himself to Liam Gallagher's steak, he then began trying to get Liam Gallagher to sing for him a cappella in the restaurant. When an incredibly inebriated Gazza pleaded with Liam to sing for him and Liam refused, things started to get slightly tense, until I started the opening line of the theme to SpongeBob SquarePants, which I knew Liam watched. He immediately joined in, and Gazza was delighted. Now, it's possible that I've got the running order slightly mixed up here. I've had to patch things together from various sources, but I think next, Liam just ordered some soup, at which point Gazza made everything worse by repeatedly over and over again asking Liam if he wanted a roll with it. Liam saw red when he was having a bowl of soup at the celebrity hangout, and Gazza quipped, "Do you want to roll with it?" referring to the 1995 Oasis hit, "Roll With It."
That was one night in Groucho's, and he was going, "Go on, you got to roll with it, have you?" I was like, "Shut up, you Geordie." And he was going, "Go on, and he was giving me all his jewellery, like all this mad gold jewellery, like Mr. T. I was going, "I don't want your jewellery, man." And he's going, "Come on, man." Anyway, I was pissed and he was pissed. And I think he's got that OCD, you know, or one of them where he keeps cleaning up, like every time I put a beer down, there's a little bit of wet patch. He kept cleaning it up, and I thought, I'm going to have him in a bit.
And apparently, at this point, both of them drunk, the fight started. A source told the Star, tempers flared and there were a couple of punches thrown. As the evening progressed, they got into an argument, tempers flared, and a fight started. It was chaotic until the doormen intervened and pulled them apart. Gazza didn't look happy.
I weren't even meant to be in there, actually. I was banned because I snuck in on our kids' past. And as I'm going out the door, I turned around to Gazza. I said, "Yeah, Gazza, you and he's going, "What are you fucking man, bastard?" I just pulled the fire extinguisher out and he's gone, "No!" And I was going, "Yeah, you Geordie." And that was it. "No!" And I just, he was like Father Christmas, covered in water like a snowman.
So I thought he's way to order another steak. He come back with a fire extinguisher and just fucking mullered us all over. Wow, Jesus Christ. He just sprayed it all over us, man. Just all over the table. Didn't give a fuck. I just put it down.
Liam had the last laugh when he let loose with a fire extinguisher and pelted out of the club as we both set off to pick up our kids from school. At the time, Liam said, "I got banned, it was a joyous day, and I won't be back." Of course, however, as the dust settled, even if there were punches thrown, it seems that they didn't actually have a proper fallout over it. In October 2019, Gazza tweeted this at Liam, "Hey Liam, I'm fuming. Just been to the fish and chip shop and everything was okay until I said, I want to roll with it. Hope all is well and well done on your number one. P.S. You owe me lunch without the fire extinguisher. Hugs from Gazza." And Liam responded the next month live in Newcastle by dedicating this song to Paul Gascoigne, who might have been in the audience.
This one's for Gazza.
And that's it. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time. And as always, a massive thank you to all my supporters on Patreon. If you would like to get credited at the end of videos, and if you would like access to exclusive Patreon-only content, the link is down in the description. And hopefully, I'll see you inside.